Welcome to another edition of Chaz Wins. I'm your host, Chaz Burke, and today's date is April the 30th, 2020. It is with a very, very heavy heart that I come to you tonight, and it's about 11 p.m. Today. In today's climate, we're all hurting around the world, and certainly here in America, we're hurting from the outbreak of the coronavirus that is just crippling our nation, and people are suffering and people are dying, not only in America but around the world. So I offer my heartfelt condolences to family members that are just hurting right now. People are hurting, and this is something that we have not seen in our world probably for 100 years or so. So certainly no one alive today has been around to deal with anything like this, and we're all struggling with it one way or another. So I know I have not done a podcast in quite some time because I've just been busy with life. So, but I felt like I needed to reach out today. Ironically, the subject today, I was at home recently with a 14-day quarantine myself. Self-quarantine. I work with patients at the VA hospital here in Pittsburgh. So, just some concerns. So I was off for 14 days, and today I was given the all clear to come back to work, and I did so. Unfortunately, just 1 week ago, a dear friend of mine by the name of Stephen Chatmen, who was really, really a dear friend and partner, a brother from another mother. He was diagnosed 1 week ago, just a little bit over a week ago, with coronavirus, and he actually moved out to Phoenix a couple of years ago, out the Arizona area for better weather, job opportunities. He has succumbed to his battle and found that out through his daughter early this morning at 3 a.m. So he has gone on to glory, and man, that was really hard to hear. It really, really took me by surprise, I'm sure, as it did a lot of people who know Stephen. His name's Stephen Chatmen, but I know him as Steve, so I'll refer to him as Steve during this podcast. But I'm going to do my best to get through this because I just felt like I needed to honor him and celebrate him. So in true fashion, Steve was a big music fan. I'm going to tell you a little bit about him. Tell you a lot about him. He was a music lover. He actually he was a co-founder. Him and my main man Don Patterson here in Pittsburgh. The two of them, they combined and created the Soul Show back in 1995 here in Pittsburgh on WYEP FM. Great show. It was all about soul, funk music, and it was the best show on TV, public radio, no commercials, all member driven, and I was one of the first people that really catch on to it and won some prizes. Met those two guys and picked up my prize, and it was like an wine sipping prize or something. I met them down at the old Kingsley Center in East Liberty. We went and talked for a bit, and we just kind of started goofing around. We went, picked up our tickets, and I went and met them, I think the next week or whatever, and that weekend, and we just started hanging out. Steve was on stage hosting this event, and Steve's a kind of a silly guy, very serious about a lot of things. Anything you want to know about music, and particularly funk music, he covered all genres. He was also a father, a mentor, a lover of vinyl. This man has so much vinyl records. I'm going to tell you, he would do so much research and buy so many records. He had more records than the radio station that he worked at. And by the way, he volunteered for WYEP, as most of all the people who worked there do. So he'd come in and do this work every weekend, tirelessly researching. Even when he moved up to Erie, PA, about a 2-hour drive, he would come in every weekend and do this show relentlessly, and just offer his expertise, share his life stories with us on the radio, his friendship, with his family here in Pittsburgh area. And we became friends. We talked about life experiences. We talked about our relationships. He talked about this stuff on the air. We talked about women. Him and I had been through a lot of things together. We talked about stories. We even been through divorces together. I know it's not something to celebrate, but you know, if you've been there, we talked about things together. We went through and helped each other. You know, kind of consoled each other about everything, and it's just one of those things. You'd have to have been there. But music-wise, I don't think there was anything about music that he didn't know. He also managed a band, one of the great local bands in Pittsburgh here called the House of Soul. You know, countless concerts that would come to town. Bootsy Collins, George Clinton. He would, introduce me till we'd go talk to the bands and just kind of. I've been on the radio with him and Dawn, and eventually the show. He moved on. You know, he moved on to Phoenix, and him and Dawn went on to different avenues. And Mike Canton, who hosts the Soul Show now, is doing a fantastic job. You know, he'd often do some things. And this weekend, I think, was supposed to be the 25th anniversary of the show, and it's crazy that that much time went by, and it left such a lasting impact on us listeners. So I don't know what's going to happen now. So I'm certain that Mike will honor his legacy. So it is tough, man. This podcast, I usually try to cover stuff upbeat. I usually do my podcast serious issues, political, injustice, equality, finance, economics, and stuff. And I usually save my silliness and comedy crap for the internet. But I'm trying to do both right now. I'm actually recording audio and also my video at the same time. So I will run this back on, try to get this on Facebook and YouTube as well. As you all know, you can find me #ChazWins, and that'll give you all accesses to the internet or my podcast here on Spotify or Anchor.com, wherever. So it's important that you know if you like what you're hearing or seeing. So I get into some other things too, but I try to cover a little bit for everybody, because if you're like me, I got ADD, PTSD, ABC, all that stuff. I can't stay focused on one thing, so I got to move it around. But today, this coronavirus hit home. You know, it was already hitting home with me being home for 15 days, like a lot of Americans are, and man, people are really struggling going through this thing. I'm not into pointing fingers right now about who's blamed what for what. That's not what I'm all about. I just wanted to say a few things to honor my friend's life, and I mean the stories that just if you listen to these broadcasts, he really brought his personal experiences on and off the radio about music lovers, being a part of that, the stories, the experience. Cameo is one of his favorite groups, so in true fashion, I'm playing Cameo in the background. I hope it picks up. I don't want it to overshadow what I'm saying, but Cameo was one of his favorite bands, if not his favorite band. And he just knew things about the groups, about where they signed, where they grew up, and inside information about the just stories and information that you just didn't get everywhere else, And he would just share these stories and incorporate them in every single show, every Saturday. I mean, I would tune into the shows and call in several times, and we would just have a conversation about the music, the people. It was one of those shows where you could call in and you would get your house clean on Saturday listening to the Soul Show, or clean your car in the summertime. Go down to Highland Park, get your ride clean, and man, he'd be playing the funk for you. Sharing his stories about growing up and what it was like at Christmas time with the soul music on it, the Temptations. I learned so much from this man about music, and like I said, he covered all genres. He really did. He well versed, knowledgeable. His full-time real job was he worked with the DA, worked for the district attorney doing something here in the city, and then he moved up to Erie, and then he moved out west. So I mean, he had a lot of hats that he wore. He really was busy. Just a lovable guy. Loved his family. Always talking about his mom and growing up and sharing those experiences with us. It's like you turned on the radio, and when Steve was on and Dawn too, they were just they became part of your family. So to hear all of a sudden and see all of a sudden that he just came down with pneumonia and went like that to pneumonia to coronavirus and to just leaving us. It was shocking, and I'm still today, like, I'm sure the many families that across the world who have gone through the same thing are just devastated. But I'm certain, I'm optimistic that we'll find a cure for this. I'm certain it will, but I know our lives are changed forever now, and we are certainly going to do things differently, and I'm okay with that. You know, we have to evolve like everything else. Every other crisis that us as a species have faced, we will. I'm certain about that. I hope that the loss of life is reduced greatly and very soon because, let's face it, it's family, loved ones, friendships. It's precious. So I just really wanted, I don't want to linger on this subject, but I'm really going to go to bed with, like I said, I was conflicted all day today. Started off with good spirits. I got that news and I was just not myself today. And I just had to talk a little bit about my friend, Stephen Chatmen. He can look him up on Facebook and leave a message. And you may not know him, you may know him, whatever, but you want to talk about somebody that was a bright light and had just this wonderful, deep baritone voice, man, when he talked, the way he started the show every Saturday. You just wanted to tune in, get in your happy vibes, and just listen and groove out with the music. And I think anybody can identify with that. So he will be missed more, by everybody, and certainly his family, his immediate family. I know they're in pain. So, I offer prayers and condolences to his immediate family and everyone around the country who knew him and called him a friend, and everyone else who has lost someone to this deadly virus. And just hopefully the country will recover quickly and get back on track. But in the meantime, just remain hopeful. I know it's difficult these dark times. I mean, I ain't gonna lie. Sometimes I kind of feel a little doubtful, but then I have to remember, we are a resilient people, and I truly do believe we will come out better on the other side. So just remain faithful, cling to whatever guides you and whatever gives you strength. I know my family keeps me grounded, and I'm gonna keep on fighting through everything, and I'm gonna keep on lifting up people wherever I can. I hope this is doing something for you, and I'm gonna continue to get back into my podcast and broadcast and different things, and I'm gonna continue to spread joy, lift people up the way I know how best. Sometimes that's with messages of hope. Sometimes that's with messages of comedy, jokes, whatever, and just time messing around. And I think I'm okay at it. I don't know if I had to make a living at it full time. If I would starve, I'd probably not be so fat right now, because I would be starving probably. But I do a little bit. But some people just have that gift to be able to connect. And the way Steve used to connect was just magical. He would just do his thing on the radio, and you felt like he was coming into your living room every Saturday through your speaker or your car or wherever it was at, and he just became part of your life. So, man, what a gift and what an opportunity and what a blessing to have known him and have him be a part of my life. And if you had listened to his broadcast, you understand what I'm talking about. It truly was a gift. So I'm just going to leave you with this. Keep on searching for the gifts, the hidden gems in life. They're out there. As this journey goes along down the ride, it ain't about the finish line. It is truly about the journey. Sometimes that road is bumpy. I know. I've been on this bumpy road for a minute, y'all, and I continue to drive that road. I have to. I can't give up. I'm like Sisyphus. I just keep pushing that boulder up the hill. Regardless, I keep going. Keep on riding down that road in my Lincoln. Eventually, my shocks might break a little bit, but I'm gonna keep on going because the road keeps going. So we gotta keep going. So with that, I'm just, I'm gonna keep everybody in prayer, lift each other up. Stay tuned. Chaz Wins is gonna be back. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for hearing me. Thank you for listening to this. And peace and blessings to each and every one of you. I'll talk to you soon.